And we are back with the Blame Girl podcast with
Mr. Terry Wayne.
And we got Chrystall Jane in the house. I said it right. Oh my God. I be fucking her
Chrystall. Chrystall Jane.
Why you say it like that?
Because you got to fancy it up. That's
what I know, but I say in my head when I read her name, it's Chrystall Jane. If you know her.
Jane.
Yeah, not just she's not just no plain Jane. She's Chrystall Jane.
I love it.
Unless she's French, that's appropriation.
I ain't French.
Oh man.
But I do like the sound of it. Chrystall Jane sounds very classy. I like it.
Yeah, anyway.
But it's Chrystall Jane, like Terry Wayne.
Chrystall Jane and Terry Wayne.
Jane.
This should be clipped up. All right. So how was your weekend, Chrystall Jane?
Oh, it was such a good weekend. I did a lot of stuff on Saturday and then not a lot of, like, I didn't leave the house yesterday. So it was a good balance. I went to this thing called Coco Market in West Palm, which was a fun little, like, they had live music and vintners. Then yesterday I cleaned under the bathroom sink, like I did the organizing.
Gotta do that.
It was a huge upgrade. So that was my weekend, like fun and then work. But fun because this morning I woke up and I was like, my stuff's taken care of. I felt good.
Good way to start the week.
Yeah. What about you?
Oh, thank you for asking. You hear that, Terry Wayne? Like, my weekend was pretty cool. On Friday I went to Swampgrass. I was on that show and that was a lot of fun. You know what I love about Swampgrass is that, I always do open mic stuff there, even when I'm booked on a show. And there's no other way to do Swampgrass. You can't go there and do material because it is too hard. So,
you don't know that after all these years?
I don't know why I just clicked on this Friday, but I mean, it's not like I do much. I always do open. I know that, but it like really clicked. I'm like, yeah, you cannot do material here.
No, we talked about that for years.
So and then on Saturday I had a show. I was on Jenna Heltman. She's been on the show. She runs Comics Crushing Cancer. She had a show in Jupiter at Twisted Tuna, and I had fun. It was cool. Then I popped over to Brick and Barrel. Jackie, she has a show there. I don't know if this is backwards on YouTube. I gotta check that out. But Jackie, she had a show there, so I popped over there. It was sold out. And then Sunday I didn't do anything. I am without a vehicle for a little bit, so I'm a little stuck. I had to get rides to all those. So
let me know if you need a ride. You're 3 minutes up the road.
Okay. If you want to hit any mics, let me know.
I'll take you.
I will appreciate it.
We'll pick you up.
We will go.
Yeah, we're gonna go.
All right. Terry, how was your weekend?
It is not backwards on YouTube, just so you know.
Oh, good. Because I almost flipped it. Thank you for letting us know.
Yeah, no. My weekend was good. I had some in-laws in town now that we're up here outside of Nashville. Her mother and grandfather live in Louisville, which is only about 2.5 hours away. So pretty much just hung out with them, entertained them, got to make some fresh pasta and sausage ragu.
What did you make?
Some fresh pasta, fettuccine. Fettuccine, yeah, with a sausage ragu with sausage and veal. Oh, and then I did this since I had some leftover pasta that I didn't use. I turned that into ravioli. It's the first time I ever made ravioli at home. And I stuffed it with that veal sausage ragu.
How was it?
I don't know. I'm going to make it after we're done. So, but I made some normal, typical little ones just to boil and throw some olive oil on. And then I made some big fat ones that I can coat in some breadcrumbs and pan fry.
Yeah.
Yum.
Yeah. I cook a lot there, Chrystall. Miss Janae.
Janae in the house.
You know what, Terry? Ever since you showed me how to make that tomato confit, I make it every fucking week. I go get French bread from this French bakery, and it's like
it's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good.
You know
And
what?
it's
I put
pretty
more
good. It's
garlic
pretty
in it.
good for you, actually. It's pretty good for you.
Because just the roasted garlic with it is,
Mhm.
I love it. It's the best snack
Well,
ever.
I need the recipe.
just remember when you're done with that oil,
Yeah.
strain it and keep that oil, because you can make
Oh no,
like it.
that's what I have the oil. Yeah, I did everything you told me to. I've been living life.
All right.
I have
Yeah.
this.
It's good.
Do you have a Facebook? Okay,
I do.
I can't tag you.
Oh, it's my, if anyone wants to follow me or anything, why everyone's saying it. My name is spelled like Chrystall. Like that's how it's spelled. The 2 L's. It's got an H. It's a mess.
Yeah.
But it's unique. So it's Chrystall Jane.
Well, it's not just you. Like I was just telling her about this. Like it's Chrystall Jane, and I was telling Minda she was on the show, and she's like, Chrystall who? Because I said Chrystall, and I was like Janae. I don't know why. I just did. So, and when I went to LA, which I guess I should talk about.
Yeah.
Did I talk about that? I don't think I talked about it on the last show.
No, it did not.
When I went to LA, I had a booked show that Mac Lawson, she's been on the show. She hooked me up with her friend Jacqueline. But when I hadn't talked to Jacqueline, Mac hadn't said Jacqueline's name to me. But when I got to LA and I got to the show, I was like, hi. I was like, Jacelyn? And she goes, Jacqueline? And Mindy goes, Jay Quillen? And I was like, oh my God, I'm that dude. I'm that substitute teacher that reads all the white names black,
I like it.
So
I like it.
I don't know. All right, who's to blame, right? All right, well, are y'all ready to do some blaming?
I'm so ready.
All right, let's do it. I thought it was interesting that Terry actually sent me this first blame, and because we don't really ever cover serial killers, but there's a new serial
I did that for you. I put that on there for you because I know how much you love murder and death and women being killed and brutalized. She loves it.
The Idaho murders. Okay, that makes sense. We have
it's not even you. Every woman loves woman murder for some reason. So
basically, there has been a serial killer caught in New Jersey. Tell us about him, Terry.
Well, he's been going for quite some time. He loves ladies of ill repute, the ladies of the night, or as they would say today, the ones that are for the streets.
Such a dangerous job, right?
Huh?
It's such a dangerous job, I say.
It just makes it's another valuable argument to my point that prostitution should be legal and should always be legal.
Yeah.
Isn't that way you could do things safely and with some.
He's been caught, and that's kind of a little rare for serial killers. Who's to blame? Why did he get caught this time, Terry?
He's taunting. This is what happens when you start taunting the cops. The only one that I ever know about that taunted the cops and never got caught was the Zodiac killer. But that's only because he left those little puzzles, which I personally believe have no answer whatsoever, and they're just gibberish. And it was just a distraction. Just something.
This guy was taunting victims' families with their cell phones. And is that what led to him getting caught? Chrystall, what do you think about this?
I think he's definitely guilty. There's this picture of him taking a selfie in the mirror, and just that alone was all the proof that I needed. I mean, there is DNA evidence of his, so they got it.
It's a look, right? Sometimes there's just a look that these people, you're like, he has people in his basement, and he
looks like a serial killer, but his DNA was found on 3 of the bodies, so that's enough to link him to 3. Well, the usually what happens at this point when they get him on 3, and they know they're going to get convicted for those 3, now they start going, well, there's a lot more than 3. Let me tell you about the rest. You know what I mean? But
don't give me too many years because I'm confessing, right?
No. Once you get more than 1, that's life at minimum. So
but it might save your life, or you might not get the death penalty.
Why would you? I would, if I was in his
Maybe
position and I
that's
was
what you
going
would
to,
want, but maybe everybody don't want that.
why would you want to stay in prison forever? That's just ridiculous.
He's got kids. That's one of the reasons that they're trying to say that he might be innocent, is because he's like a family man and has kids.
Now that's what I
So was the BK. So was the BTK killer. He had a family. The what is it? The guy in the California murderer they just caught. They caught him because one of his daughters or nieces or something like that did ancestry.com and sent the DNA in. And the cops were like, "Oh, wait a second! This matches very closely to someone we want in these." And then they caught him, and he confessed.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
it's a little bit. I was thinking this the other day, like, why would you even commit murder anymore? Because you're gonna get. I feel like you're gonna get caught. Big Brother is watching. There's all you got to do is go track all these little. There's cameras everywhere. There's people's Ring doorbells. Like. Somebody's gonna, but maybe not, because we still don't know. I mean, I know they have someone in custody for the Idaho murders, but I just I don't know that they did it. I'm sorry.
Well, really, the main thing here is if you want to be a serial killer, just make sure that all your victims are random strangers, and you don't want to you kill anybody.
All this, you can't be.
You kill anybody close to you in your circle that you knew, even as an acquaintance, they're gonna get you. You
can't kill anyone.
This is the guy, and he said that.
Yes.
They said was he kept to himself. Well, there you go.
But
those are always.
Really.
But they, his patterns were that he like kept to himself, so he wasn't like out there all the time.
You think his wife knew?
That's a great question.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think that she would like.
No.
If she knew that he was doing that.
No, because if she knew,
you realize it after you've been married so long, and then you like realize I've married this guy. I've had 2 kids with him. If I rat him out, I'll be alone. What do you do?
No, if she was involved or if she knew, he would have never gotten caught, because she would have hit him and been like, "Stop playing with those phones. You're going to get us thrown in jail."
Like the John Bonet thing.
I wasn't saying like they were working together. I was just saying like maybe she knew he was a piece of shit.
He came home with just like too much blood on his clothes one day. Yeah. She's like, this is fishy.
You know, you caught one day. Like,
and do you think that he had some weird like religious affiliation because he was going after like prostitutes, or did he think that they just didn't have good family lives? Like, what is his reason in targeting?
They're just easy targets because nobody cares about them, and you can call them and be like, "Oh, meet me at this thing, or go to this place or whatever, and I'll give you this money."
No. The world has changed. People care about sex workers, so fuck that shit.
Sex workers.
Hey, I'm just saying they're easy targets. They go to random places, and it's usually isolated. This was my argument for legalizing prostitution. Instead of you going to some random motel somewhere and meeting God knows who wants God knows what.
Come into a store and you have.
Yeah, you're going to a brothel that has security and video cameras, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Then it's safe. It's safe when you're paying with a credit card,
They can tax.
But exactly. If some dude just picks you up off the side of the street and says, "Hey, let's go to this alley," like, yeah, you might get murdered. That's just what happens.
That's an occupational hazard.
You need a pimp. Like
no.
Yeah, like where were their pimps?
Mm-hmm.
Weren't they coming to collect? Like, why they were supposed to have an interaction and then not show up with the money? That's like a huge red flag.
Yeah,
they would get noticed right away.
You got to have a pimp.
Where's upgrade?
They're scary and they keep the jongs from killing you.
Is that what it is?
And pimps don't cry.
Yeah,
well, pimping's easy actually. If you ask around.
I had an uncle pimp, and I don't think he's the big, tall black man, and he did sound like Samuel L. Jackson, and I don't think people would fuck with him. You know what I'm saying?
Did he have like cool coats?
None of his hoes got killed. He had some.
Do you have a big furry hat and a cane?
He had some fur. I don't think he ever wore hats. He had like nice hair, and anyway. We won't talk about it. All right, so I really don't want to talk about the next 2 people. I am jumping ahead a little bit, but we'll come.
Are
back.
you?
Yeah. I'm on the 3rd topic.
Okay.
The next two people I don't want to talk about are Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, right? The Thread app is now blowing up. Is that a good thing? Who's to blame, guys?
I don't know. Is anybody here? Is Jane? I'm sorry, Janae. Are you on Thread yet?
No, I didn't get on Threads because I'll tell you why and who's to blame. Zuck has it so that if you download Threads and then you choose to delete Threads, the only way you can do that is deactivating your Instagram account. So if you want to delete Threads, you have to deactivate your Instagram account. And I can't do that. I've had this crap for way too long. I've got, 12 years.
Well, just don't put anything on Threads that you want to delete. Maybe.
Are you on Threads?
Yeah. Oh, no. Look, this is how I treat social media. Damn, I got to get on another platform because I'm getting on it. I get on TikTok. I'm on Threads. I'm on OnlyFans.
She's a good talker. I'm a big talker. I'll go on your OnlyFans.
I got shit to say.
She's talking.
Yeah.
She's talking on the BlameGirl podcast, on the TikTok. You're one of my favorite people to follow on TikTok.
Oh, yeah?
I'm a fan. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Follow me on TikTok.
Follow her.
Well, I think this was just the fact that it's right now they've gotten over 100 million subscribers on the Thread app.
Fast.
So yes, very fast. And it seems like that this was a real kind of like knife dig at Elon Musk, because obviously he took over Twitter and then everything kind of went to shit. And then they had their little pissing match online. And then it kind of reminds me of like when Trump ran for president. We all remember why. It was because Obama made fun of him at the Correspondents' Dinner, and he's like, "Fuck you, I'll take your job." And then it was like the same thing. It was like the Zuck came in and said, "Oh, you want to talk shit? All right, I'm going to bury Twitter with my new app."
Yeah.
Well, it's what they do. They literally rip everything off. Like Instagram has Reels now to rip off TikTok. What's the other app? Snapchat is basically just a rip off of Vine, and
Be Real is on there, and Be Real's features have now been adapted by TikTok and I think Instagram also, or at least Snapchat.
I don't even know what Be Real.
Be Real is it's what the kids do.
Yeah. That's what the Zuck does. That's
coming by the time this is airing. Well, this is live, but
next week. Yeah, I'll be on.
The Zuck loves to steal platforms. So I don't know what Musk was thinking, because
well, you know what? It doesn't matter, because they're gonna have a cage match and a dick measuring contest, and we'll find out who the winner is, won't we?
I'm voting against this guy. This guy scares the Jesus out of me. He frightens me. I'm scared of him.
Elon too, for that matter.
Elon's too goofy.
No,
Elon's way too Aspergery.
They both, and this is not any discrimination against lizard people, but they're lizard people. So
I feel like, Elon's more like a turtle than just like a regular lizard. Like he has a like harder shell. I don't know. Elon, he's like our own Iron Man. He's like the realest thing that we have.
No. There is nothing benevolent in him. No.
I see.
Do you drive a Tesla?
I know I don't. I have a gas.
He's the guy. Elon's the guy that's like, well, I got 100 billion now, so I can force people to like me. Like that's what.
It's a little creepy that he has a lot. He's really says that he's scared of AI, but then like he puts something called Neuralink in his kid's brain and other people too. It's called Neuralink. It's out there, but he's done countless interviews about being scared of AI, and then does Neuralink. It doesn't
tell me what it is.
It's like if your brain is part of your cell phone. Like if you like think like, oh, I want to tweet this, or
it's a way to directly connect your thoughts to your electronic devices.
Yeah, and he's doing it already.
They use that Neuralink to teach monkeys how to play Pong with their thoughts.
That's very cool.
That's fucking creepy as shit. I don't know what you're talking about. That's very cool. Let's teach the monkeys how to think better so that we can have our own little planet of the apes going.
I want to merge AI and humans together.
I mean, you could probably see, because I've watched a lot of Elon interviews, and sometimes you're like, he's cool, and then sometimes you're like, what he's saying.
Can we live forever with this merge? Okay.
Well,
if not, I don't
what
know.
I was saying was like, Elon's the kind of guy who gets $100 billion and thinks I can force people to like me and think that I'm cool now. Zuckerberg, on the other hand, is a guy who gets $100 billion and goes, oh, I'm just going to take over the world. I'm just going to do that. Like, he seems way more like a sociopath.
Instead of taking over Twitter,
Elon's just
the fucking world. Yeah, he's scared.
Yeah, Elon's just a weird guy with Asperger's, who just happened to make a shit ton of money, and now we all got to watch it unfold. But Zuckerberg might be just evil.
He's a supervillain.
He might be. Yeah, he might be like Luthor.
Look, you never know how we would be if we were really fucking rich or really fucking smart. We might be weird as hell too, and like
he basically
or like a weirdo like Elon,
Yeah. Well, Zuckerberg through Facebook basically pioneered the idea of data mining. Like, they were pretty much the ones to do it first on a large scale. So all the whole industry of people's data being bought and sold on the open market, that came directly from him. So yeah, he might be trying to take over the world.
But relax, because data mining is nothing more than, it's capitalism. It's the way capitalism is done now, like.
Well, watch that slippery slope, because there's a guy at Nestle, I don't know if you know this or not, but he's trying to get the world to believe that water isn't a human right and should be a commodity that can be bought and sold.
I know about that, dude.
And their water sucks. Nestle bottled water, it's trash. So
well, that really doesn't matter when somebody's trying to say, hey, that rain, that belongs to us. That's evil on a different level.
Well, what's a really nice water? One that they have in LA.
Like Voss.
No, not Voss.
Fiji.
The Fiji owner, his mansion in Beverly Hills is on tours. It's fucking huge. And he's selling water. It's ridiculous. So
no.
Our world is fucked up. Everybody is fed up, especially workers, guys. There's a bunch of labor strikes going on right now. Who's to blame?
Everyone. The big cats. The fat cats in their studio offices. I'm on strike right now. I'm actually in the SAG-AFTRA union. Technically, I'm on strike. So I'm not promoting a film, so I'm allowed to be here because I can do. Yeah. So this is. I read the rules today while I did my.
Oh my God, we have someone on that had to read the SAG-AFTRA rules. So tell us. That's one of the part of the strike. The one. There's also a airline workers strike,
and the U.S. Postal Service is going to go, like, really people like, okay, the actors, maybe some streamers won't be aired for a few. I'm an actor, whatever. Entertainment's very important, but people not getting their mail, people not having the flights being made where they have to go across country for a funeral because the airline attendants are striking. This is going to be a big deal, and they say it might start August 1st. So,
and you know what sucks? I don't know if it will affect the rich because they have their own planes. Terry?
Well, it won't affect the uber rich, but no, this if you want to know who's to blame, it's us. It's you and me and everybody else in the middle and on the bottom, because for decades we have allowed them to slowly but surely erode away every one of our rights as workers, as people, as Americans. They take it away little by little by little by little. And I'm always been a proponent of, if you don't stand up for your rights, they will be taken away from you. And people they got it to the point where people just felt small and powerless. They took one union down after another, after another, after another. And that's your only, collective bargaining is your only refuge. That's the only way you have any power against the powerful or the wealthy. But it is their fault. Yes. There's a reason why there's more billionaires. There's, what was the quote I just saw? There's 17 times more billionaires walking the planet today. 17 times. That's 1,700% more than there was 100 years ago. And it's not just inflation. It's not just inflation. This is capitalism run amok with no rules, no regulations, nobody. So I guess you just blame Ronald Reagan because he's the one that cut all the regulations.
Yeah,
I can get with that. I can get with that blame right there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what happened. I was there. Like I was alive during that.
He would have to be on strike right now though, because he was in the Screen Actors Guild originally. So
Yeah.
he would have a really hard time figuring out.
Not once he got into politics. He was owned. Once he got into politics, he was owned by corporate interests. So.
Oh, he was owned by corporate interests when he was in Hollywood.
Well, he was a lizard person too, so like.
Yeah, definitely a lizard person.
Maybe one of the first.
I don't think one of the first. They've been around for ages. Like I say, no discrimination towards lizard people. But
well, the Skull and Bone Society goes back to what, the late 1800s. So
yeah. You
been
never
around.
know. Look in your DNA. You might have some lizard in your family.
Like
no, I did look in my DNA. It's just white. It's just the white northern.
Exactly. Like.
Yeah, it's just the whitest parts of Europe. Just Ireland and Scotland and Germany and England. That's it.
That would be okay. Never mind. All right. There are a lot of lizards in Florida.
There are literal actual lizards.
There are less migrants here these days. Guys, who's to blame? I think we all know.
We know.
Yeah, it's DeSantis.
At one, DeSantis.
Yeah.
Call him Gio. You have a funny name for him.
No, I don't. It's DeSantis. Satan's cousin.
Yeah.
The sanctimonious.
But he's Satan's, and he's Italian apparently. But the joke is he's Satan's Latino cousin. But Latinos, it's Latin. Italians are the first Latinos, so he is Satan's Latino cousin.
And a lot of Latinos are being affected in this. I mean, I actually will say we noticed it. There's a lot of construction projects going on near my house, and they shut down as that happened. And still, like, it's slowed way down. Like, you notice when you don't see the same people that you see every day, and you're like, oh shit, they're not there. They're not, where'd they go? Like,
now see, this is the one that I wanted to respond to the most. This was the first one I sent you this week.
It said fourth topic on the list you sent me.
Right, but that's because I wanted the most time for it. But it's the first one I sent you to review. Anyway,
it's a big one. I can't believe we hadn't even covered it yet.
Well, here's the thing. He's DeSantis is in his second term, so he really has nothing to lose. But he really, really, really wants to be president. So what he's essentially doing is he's throwing the economy of Florida on the bonfire so that he can have this political theater of saying, see, look, I'm taking care of immigrants. Look, I'm fighting Disney. Look, I'm taking control of the Florida economy, which is why now more insurance underwriters have another large one just left the state of Florida too. And his quote that I read today was, well, knock on wood, we don't have a storm this summer.
Well,
like,
I can add to that list. He doesn't crazy mosquitoes. Crazy Bill Gates mosquitoes. Did you hear about this, Terry?
Yeah, they have.
I did not. No.
It's malaria.
Yeah,
we got malaria.
It's a whole thing. He signed some deal with Bill Gates and these mosquitoes, and it's controversial to say.
Well,
the lizard people.
If you are worried about that, there's maybe some new way for it to be.
We're all going to be alligators. I don't know.
The only thing I can think about that is because maybe, and I'm zero information on this, but when you say malaria and Bill Gates, I think of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and they did a lot of positive work in Africa fighting malaria. So that might have something to do with. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look it up. This is the first time hearing it.
There is something to do with actual like it was.
That wasn't a joke.
No, there really is something in the mosquitoes. Like maybe
Gates and the same.
They're trying to they're neutering, yes, which just doesn't make sense. It kind of was, but it was
I don't like that. As Mindy would say.
That's what I'm letting you know. It's something to add to the list. And
I do know that in the last couple of months there was like a dozen cases of malaria that were found to be positive here in the U.S., including Texas, Florida, and Georgia. So
you stand malaria is what I'm hearing.
Well, he's for
what?
population decrease.
No, I'm against malaria, which is why I think I think what you're talking about is, like I said, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation did something with mosquitoes carrying malaria over in Africa. So maybe that might be them bringing it to Florida just to make sure. I don't know. My father had malaria when he went to Africa. It's not that bad. You can survive.
Malaria to any state.
Well, that's what wouldn't you think? They're like, hey, we'll get the deal with DeSantis.
Yeah.
Well, there's really, I mean, you don't have to do anything like that to give malaria to Florida. Just get a couple hundred mosquitoes, infect them with malaria, and then let them loose. They'll do the rest. That's Mother Nature does it for you. Nobody put it in Africa.
Sound like the Gates? That sounds like China.
That has big China all over.
Yeah, it sounds like Russia. You know, like that sounds like enemies.
You sound like conspiracy theories, because malaria has been around for a long, long time. It just hasn't been here because we fight against it. And people in African countries generally don't fight against it.
Are we vaccinated for malaria?
But the Gates one.
No, that is not a standard vaccination.
She's like winning me over.
Get my tinfoil hat.
Get out of my.
No, malaria is not a standard vaccination, because whenever my dad goes to Africa, he has to take like pills for like 3 weeks to build up his immunity against malaria. So he won't get it when he goes there.
So he doesn't get the vax. He takes pills. Okay.
Well, that is the vax. That all you can do is try and prevent it. There is no generalized vaccine.
Shots.
No, they do give you shots sometimes, but for malaria specifically, I can tell you from personal experience. He said it's like 3 weeks worth of pills that you have to take, and then like 2 weeks worth of pills when you get back. You get it from the health department. Actually, they make you do it so they get your visa.
Maybe we'll be getting malaria vaccination soon.
Maybe
they got to keep doping us up with something. They got to keep us engaged in that medical system, right, Chrystall?
They're all about that. Take a pill for it. Take another pill for it. Is your boner not working? Take a pill for it.
Hello.
That's who's to blame. Big.
All right, we're going. Okay, can we get back onto the migrants? Because we got a little off topic.
We did get off the migrants.
Well, but that's what I'm saying about DeSantis. Is his interests are elsewhere. He wants the big job, and so he's just putting on all this theater. But it's really going to end up doing the state a lot of harm, because Florida doesn't work without migrant labor. Because 72% of all produce that are grown in Florida can't be picked mechanically. They have to be picked by hand. There's no machine that won't destroy them, but pick them without destroying them. So you're talking about, I mean, she was mentioning building projects and things that were put on hold. Yeah, a lot of those guys get paid under the table. That's why Florida can boom up so fast. But even you're talking oranges, tomatoes, strawberry, like all of our main exports.
We got unemployed people.
They won't do it. You think some unemployed white guy that lived in Florida well, no, they're not going to go out and work in a field in the blistering sun for $30 a day. They're not going to do that.
My soft lawyer hands.
Yeah. Disbarred lawyer. Like my soft lawyer. Yeah.
But no, it's really a crying shame, because I'm not being some bleeding heart liberal for the migrants and all this. No, it's a mutually beneficial thing. They're getting to be in this country illegally, but still make money. And we're getting a lot of cheap labor imported from countries that they don't want to be in. So it's mutually beneficial to everybody. And if that makes a path to citizenship for them, even better. But just to go across the board.
Like the thing that for me, that's where he's really wilding, is that he's going so far as to ban certain out-of-state driver's licenses, that if you're from
states he doesn't like.
Not just states he doesn't like, states that will issue a driver's license to immigrants.
Oh, that's a mess.
That's a big mess. It's like you could be from Connecticut or whatever the states are, and they're not gonna recognize you can't drive here.
That's going to affect Florida tourism, which is a huge industry for our state, which is
Oh.
one of the things that kept this state going during the pandemic time was that people
He's
would come
governing so well.
It's
Like,
kind of-
this is like this
Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Rhode Island, and
not let
Vermont.
this man run our country
But
because
why?
Yeah.
he will do shit so vindictively and it will have such negative ripples through economies. It's doing that here in Florida. It's tourism, it's produce, it's construction, it's everything. And he is trash, and y'all need to know that. And don't
Which, by the way, those states I just mentioned, it's not an if. As of July 1st, Florida does not recognize driver's licenses from those states I just mentioned. Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Rhode Island, Vermont.
Connecticut, I was right.
Those are some random ass states. Why those? Like that's
They
Because those states will give undocumented immigrants a driver's license. That's why.
and they're
Again,
they're mostly Canadians, asshole.
Right, and but
why?
it's hurting. But again, it's hurting Florida's economy, and he doesn't care because he's out of office one way or the other next year. He's out of office one way or the other. He knows it, and he's just using this as political fodder. But he's burning the state's economy. Same reason he didn't care about going up against Disney, even though Disney.
I just hope his legacy is trash after he goes. Like, I hope he does not.
I think it will be.
Win.
No, he's not gonna.
Like, he's really trying to run and win on, racism,
Hey.
bigotry, all this bullshit, like flexing.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Donald Trump, his first debate, he was polling at 1%. So don't say it can't happen.
I didn't believe that Trump could happen for a second. Like I actually didn't believe it, and until he didn't win again in 2020.
So don't say it about
yeah. I mean,
DeSantis.
I remember being at a party on 2016 New Year's, and I was like, that didn't really happen, right? Like that, no way. It couldn't have happened. He's the apprentice guy.
He did. So don't say it
I got
can't
drunk
happen.
that night, and I just fucking was like sad.
I will say this: most of his GOP donors, a lot of the Republicans and his GOP donors are stepping away from DeSantis just because they're starting to see the seals come apart. They're starting to see the cracks in the hull. So they're starting to pull away from him now.
Yeah.
And if Trump runs, I don't know what his status is. I don't really pay attention to this stuff, but I know that the Trumpers, they're not going to vote for DeSantis. They're going to go for their guy. They're still waving flags out there in Palm Beach.
Yeah.
It's happening. For people who don't live in Florida, there's a big Trump culture out here.
Oh, I know. I was in West Palm. I was right down the street from all that jazz. So, like I saw it
Wild.
every day. Yep.
Yeah,
every day on Southern Boulevard.
No matter what.
It's
no matter what,
active.
they love him.
I mean,
It's
it's
wild.
it's a whole show. You drive
Well,
by.
it's a cult. It's a cult at this point. Like they're cult followers at this
Maybe
point.
acting Christian. No, they ain't Christian. Y'all worship that dude right there.
Every one of those people still believes. Every one of those people you see out there waving those flags, they think Trump is actually still president, but he's just doing it like under the radar. Like he's actually still running things. Yeah.
So they delusional.
Yeah, and as far as the Christian thing goes, yeah, the Bible says you can't serve two masters, So
Yeah.
you can either serve God or not, one or the other.
I think it's hypocritical, like you're saying, if they're very much actually Christian, to put him in that God figure, because he's, first of all, I think he's an entertainer. He probably is in the Screen Actors Guild too. He was in movies and stuff. He's like,
Mhm.
I'd say he was.
Absolutely.
It was very, it was very entertaining when he was president, even though it's like in a really distressing way. People were engaged. Now we're just like, did Biden fall down the stairs again?
Oh no, I'm so happy that politics is boring again. Like I love that politics is boring.
We had cocaine scandal last week. That was a lot of fun.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk to our guests and get to know our guests. Welcome, as we said before, Chrystall Jane or Chrystall Shanae or Chrystall Shanae or however you want to say it. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
How long have you been doing comedy?
I was born doing comedy back when I was 7 years old, and I trained with Joe Brown at the Little Rascals. No, I've done comedy. I did improv like 13 years ago. I was in the Groundlings for a bit. My person that I was in writing class with is like on SNL now. Like I had a big improv comedy career. I was really intimidated of stand-up. So stand-up's been a new thing where I feel like I've retired as an actress and I'm like, I'm going all in as a writer, comedian. It's what I've wanted to do since like 2004. So I was like 18. Like I love stand-up. I've always like I used to watch Rodney Dangerfield when I was like 3 years old. I was a really weird kid, like really weird. Johnny Carson, but I was up really like
I don't get no respect.
I got no respect. I was like doing that impression around my house. So Steve Martin, you know, those are my icons. So I always wanted to do comedy. I have the biggest respect for it.
So where did you start?
I did a BET comedy. No, I did a BET comedy pilot like 8 years ago. I did some stuff in LA, but it was really hard to focus on it like the way that you actually have to when I was being a full-time actress and stuff. So that was like I would do YouTube videos and comedy that way. But
was that like stand-up or was that more like improv comedy?
So that I did stand-up a few times in that time period, but I did improv to like success to where we were the Thunderdome champions at the Second City in Hollywood. We had like a 32-week streak where we were there for months and we just kept dominating as a team, and we were called the Jetson Lounge. Shout out to my old school improv troupe. But that was really exhilarating. And what we would do there, we would have a stand-up come sometimes and then we would act out their jokes, which I think is
there's a place that does that down here called the Doghouse Theater.
So I would have to check out the Doghouse. I've heard about it, and I gotta go.
No, that was one of my last shows down there before I moved to Tennessee. Was I did my set, it went really well, and then they came out and they did improv based on my jokes, which was awesome.
It's fun.
It was so funny. Yeah,
it's always a good time.
Next time I'm there, because if I'm not busy that Friday, I'll kind of just pop in because they will let me. So next time I go, I'll tell you, but
I'll give you a ride.
Yes, Casey's very accommodating.
He might try to make you pay though. Like, I don't know. He is
what?
Very accommodating. No, like new comics. If he doesn't know, if you want to get on, you need a video to send to him.
I'll send him this video.
He's not just gonna let everybody on. Like I was trying to tell him about, I think it was V Shali, and he's like, tell her to send me a video. And I was like, oh damn.
That's Hollywood, baby.
Well, I mean, hey.
But
getting one glimpse at who you're letting on your stage, I don't disagree with that. Who cares with that? You know.
But last week, a couple of weeks ago, he needed someone, and I couldn't do it, and we were all kind of like, and so I suggested Chris Shepard, and he just let him do it. He hadn't seen Chris Shepard before, but maybe he had known Chris Shepard or heard his name because he's been on the scene for a minute.
Well, you know how it is. You if you don't know who the guy is or the girl is, you just ask somebody you know and be like, "Are they legit?" And be like, "Okay, you know who to trust." You know.
Yeah. All right. So, Chrystall, since you've been doing comedy here in South Florida, when did you start here?
A year ago.
A year ago.
Yeah.
What has become your favorite venue? And you can't say the
Improvs.
Well, I wouldn't say the Improvs because I watched this show, so I know that
okay.
Improvs. Okay. But I have two favorites, and I'm going to do them this week. So if you want to ride, I'll take you. Dada in Delray, because for various reasons, it's where I did my first coming back to stand up when I got back into the scene like around a year ago. Mike Cintron hosted, or our friend Minda, if it's not Mike, which Minda's great too. And Dada is like my favorite restaurant in Delray, and it's 4 minutes from my house. So it's so convenient. And then I like Black Flamingo on a Thursday. Oh, so Dada is Tuesday nights, and then Black Flamingo's Thursday nights earlier. I love Eli, the bartender. Okay. He's like, so have you done Black Flamingo with Kevin?
Yeah, I go sometimes. I would love to go Thursday.
I'll take you.
Did you go last Thursday? Because I remember y'all talking about it.
Yeah.
Jess said she didn't go. But I didn't think about asking you for a ride. But
now, I got you, girl. We're going.
Do you have any favorite moments from doing comedy? And it can be from your improv, from your stand-up. What's been your favorite moment?
You know, I used to do like YouTube comedy videos a lot, and I liked those when they would really resonate with people. When people would be like, "Oh, I like that crazy character like you had," or something like that. Makes me feel like I did something good if they're like quoting some dumb thing that I said.
When you're relatable.
Yeah, and then I think I loved the show that I did at the Boca Black Box with you. You were the host of the evening, and that was my first like book show. And it's also like my most embarrassing moment, but
was it your favorite?
It's one of them. Yeah, for sure.
It was so embarrassing.
I forgot my whole set.
But that was, like you said, that was your first book
show. Yeah. So I was just like really a ball of nerves, and it was a whole thing. I needed to be more prepared. You know, that's like you live, you learn.
I remember you had people there.
I had people there. I'd like more people there than the rest of the audience.
Yeah.
It's like not really, but it felt like it for me.
I think you did. I think she brought the crowd.
It was a crowd.
So okay. So what's been your biggest challenge doing comedy?
Besides having a vagina.
You know, that's a challenge in and of itself.
Thank you. Okay.
You know, people not expecting me to be funny.
Why? Because you have a vagina.
Because I'm a woman. Like when
but I think I think that makes it easier because then if you're even funny in the least, they're like, oh, look at
y'all
that.
Get on my nerves saying that. Men say that all the time. That's so freaking annoying. And women
the bar is lower.
Not
it
true.
Is just lower.
Yeah, just the number, like sheer volume of male comics versus female comics, even in like the mainstream, it's like it's like 90-10. Like even like
they're still
booking.
That's the rate that they book at too. They book at that rate. It's not like they're giving us more opportunities because we're women. Yeah,
it has been. It is
because we're women, but sometimes y'all get opportunities because y'all white men, and people don't even consciously think about it. They just do it, and we can't talk about it. I'm sorry.
Well, I look. Okay, the reason why it's 10-1 in the comedy field is because less women start in comedy. So there's just a smaller field to choose from. There just is. There's just so many more dudes doing comedy than there are ladies, and sticking with it at least. And I've seen that over.
And I'll tell you who I think.
I've been doing comedy. Hang on.
No, let me get in here. It's a societal problem, and the societal problem is that men.
I don't know about that.
People don't. Not just men. People don't like listening to women. They don't like listening.
Again, I don't know that.
You got to be so assertive to be like a blame girl for people to fucking listen to you, or they'll just like ignore you.
Well, again,
that's true on stage too.
Look, in my 12 years of stand-up, I can tell you every open mic I go to, it's always at least 8 or 9 to 1 men to women. It just is. And I'm not talking about big shows that are booked. I'm talking about straight up open mics. Yeah. You know, because and there might be something to say, and I know Gio's going to hate this and we're going to have to argue about it. There might be just something to say about more of a resilience to failure in men, where they can go up, bomb, and then just go, you know what, I'm going to try it again. As to where there might
be resilience, because every time these dudes go up there and they bomb, they be like, I should just go kill myself.
But they don't. But here's the difference. They don't. They go back and do it again more frequently.
Sometimes they do. I had a lot of friends in comedy that off themselves in LA a lot. R.I.P. Brody.
Sometimes they do.
He was real. Yeah. And, you know, people that die inadvertently, like Mitch Hedberg, and, you know, like things that just shouldn't have happened.
And you'll actually like this opinion more. I happen to think it's because certain industries or certain art forms tend to attract broken people, right? Emotionally broken people. Why do you think there's so many like ex-addicts and ex-alcoholics and people who have had problems before, people who have had PTSD or emotional or mental problems? They get drawn to it. And I think as a rule, generally women are a lot more emotionally healthy. So it never even occurs to them to go into this world of depravity and getting shut down and getting abused, you know, by the audience. And I don't think it occurs to them to even try. They're like, why would I do that? I'm totally healthy.
I don't know. I check all those boxes, the mental health, the trauma, all those. I mean, I've been in Hollywood 3 weeks old.
But if you're a woman, you're used to getting shut down. And
I'm like,
people not listening to you, so it's a little bit easier for us to put up with.
We're actually.
I'm just saying the attraction is there for certain groups of people. The attraction is there.
Like men are more emotionally stronger. No, fuck that shit.
No, I don't. I'm saying
I don't
women
know
are
what it
more.
is. I think my point is, I think it's, and then we're just hijacking. We're trying to get to know you, Chris. But I think the problem is people have, and look at yourself and ask yourself, do I have a problem listening to women? Because I've been like, who's your favorite, musical artist? It's usually a man. Who's your favorite comedian? It's usually a man.
Let's look at the top selling acts on tour right now. Beyonce, Taylor Swift. These are the people crashing Ticketmaster right now.
I've done this poll, and maybe it's been a few years, but I've done this poll on Facebook, and they can't give me they'll go to dudes. But that's just,
okay.
People have, and don't act like it's not a patriarchy, and they want women to be infantilized and act like men should tell us what to do. So
okay. I don't agree with that. I think that the female empowerment movement is stronger now than it's ever been. I mean, and again, you're talking about people's favorite artists. I don't see a male artist crashing Ticketmaster servers. I didn't see Eminem doing that.
I don't know.
Usher.
He didn't crash it. Bruno Mars didn't crash it. Taylor Swift crashed it. Beyonce crashed it.
Yeah, but with all due respect, because I saw like someone, and then we gotta get back to her, guys, on TikTok say that like, oh my God, like Taylor Swift is so much more famous than Michael Jackson. And we were like, no, people weren't fainting. I mean, maybe some people faint.
Yeah, you want to rethink that?
Falling out, and they needed the ambulance all the time at Michael Jackson concerts.
It was a whole
he was more famous.
Yeah.
I would easily say that Taylor Swift is as famous now as Michael Jackson was in the 80s.
No, I wouldn't say that.
I mean, they might be saying more famous just based on like she's making like $13 million a show or something. So maybe in just the amount of money that she's making and ticket sales. But Michael Jackson was the hugest star on the entire planet. Taylor Swift, like there's still other artists that are out there that are, more attractive to people. Yeah, like Beyonce. There's people that
Where would you have to go on this planet to find somebody that didn't know her name?
You could go to some island places.
Yeah, you could go to like Madagascar.
Where they knew Michael Jackson's name, but they didn't know.
Yeah, and they would know Beyonce over Taylor Swift, I think. Yeah. I think Beyonce's been famous for way longer, and
I don't know. But I just in my mind, and maybe it's because I'm old, none of them will ever be as famous as Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was this whole like phenomenon.
I'm gonna let be careful. Michael Jackson was the greatest child predator of all time, but Beyonce's video is way better than Taylor Swift's.
Be careful, Gio. Your bias is showing.
I want to move on. Okay, so
do I. I don't even know how we got here.
Where are you from? What's your day job? Do you have a day job? What's your family like? How long you been in?
Yeah, you said since 3 weeks old. Where were you born?
Beverly Hills, California. Beverly Hills, the thrill. And then I was raised in a retirement community of 6,000 people in the middle of nowhere off Route 66. So I'm like a reverse Beverly Hillbilly. It's really strange, but I would go because my grandpa had Alzheimer's and my mom like did the right thing and wanted to take care of him. But I went from like moonwalking with Paula Abdul on like a Monday, and then I was like in Hellendale days on a Friday. In it was a weird movie. But
I'm starting to see where this trauma and mental issues is coming from. That's what I'm starting to put the pieces together here.
Yeah.
Can we do it in reverse? Like you do that and then I go?
No, like I knew how good it could get, and then I moved out to the desert. So it was a whole thing.
I just want to flip the table over.
It was like, it's cool. It's cool to be born with a silver spoon and then like end up with a plastic spork.
Well, I just meant the whole being raised in an elderly community. That can be pretty traumatic for a child. It's like, oh, where's Miss Omar? Oh, Miss Omar.
Your neighbors are dying all the time.
She gone.
Familiar.
Gone.
R.I.P. Mary Hill. You want to plug in your computer? We don't.
I will.
Mhm.
So, but tell us more. Like, so
I had a weird upbringing. I was a child-ish star. I worked since I was 3 weeks old. And by star, I mean, I wasn't in anything that you guys have seen. Like,
Just-
I hope you weren't watching like the Parents Magazine breastfeeding video in 1986.
no,
Maybe, yeah.
I
I was, but just to see
You
the
might have been.
titties.
Yeah, that was
just,
my
just
mom. My mom had a nice set.
And you and your mom together?
Yeah, I was suckling my mom's teat,
Okay.
which is why I'm a comedian now.
In
there's
the
so many
world, for the
reasons.
world to see, huh?
Yeah, and then it was good. I mean, I had fun experiences. My mom was an interior decorator for some famous people called Frank Sinatra and Bob Hope.
I've never heard of them.
They used to be famous in the 20th century, and so she had all these weird connections. So I would go and like peek in and marvel at the Hollywood world, and then I would go back to like the random desert. So it was.
So when's the first time you had cocaine then?
I've never had coke, and isn't that crazy? Like
It's
a real thing. Like people, and I have a lot of energy, so I don't think that I would need to ever do coke. Like
I've never had coke either. It's crazy.
People,
you don't have a lot.
No, but people would be doing coke around me all the time when I was 21, and I went cool places like Leonardo DiCaprio's house and places where it was very cool to be when I was 21. All of these people were on coke, and I had no idea. I'm like, wow, we're just staying up till 5 a.m. watching Family Guy. Like,
oh wow,
it was cute. I was the designated driver, but also didn't do coke. I didn't get like
getting some good celeb dick or anything.
My friends were, and I was just there like standing outside of the hot tub, like, oh, there's fucking Leo. That's very cool.
Coke. Okay, all right. So, do you have any other projects you're working on? Do you have any upcoming shows?
So I do have a show on September 29th at the Titanic Iceberg Reunion. But it's something I just booked it through V Shawley. Shout out.
She's bringing it back.
She's bringing back the iceberg. Some of us, like the tip of the iceberg, on the 29th. I think that's when it is of September. So this is a ways out, and then I'm gonna be in Michigan. I might do some mics up in Michigan.
Okay.
And my day job I'll promote is T-Boom Tees. tboomtees.com. I'm an entrepreneur. I need you to buy these t-shirts because I need to sell them. It costs money to run the website.
Okay. T-Boom Tees. And I will let you say that again. Terry says blame game, but did you write a blame game for our guests? No.
No, you do the blame games. You're the blame girl.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
I have never met her before in my life. How am I supposed to do a blame game for her?
All right.
Okay. Huh?
You can blame me.
Okay. Well, fine. I got a blame for you. Okay. So you were in LA doing things there, and somehow you migrated to South Florida. Who's to blame?
My husband.
Mm.
You didn't even tell us you were married.
I'm married.
I knew it, but
what's up, husband?
Put it back in your pants, fellas.
He's not watching.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool if he was watching. He might have. I mean, I was home all day, so he's like maybe just enjoying me not being in the house right now.
He's like,
yeah, he's playing Call of Duty or something right now. That's
he's
what's happening.
That's
you can watch it later.
He'll hear the highlights.
Yeah.
So he's cool. But we were living in LA. It was really bad during the pandy. It was bad. It was not a good place to be. And, it's gotten a little bit better now because so many of us left during that time. So I just was back a little bit before you were out there, and less traffic than when I moved. There were things that were kind of that I'm like, well, this is better, but the homeless situation's out of control. And, it was a little rough. It was a little rough to be there. And I'm also like from there. So it was kind of important for me to live somewhere else. It was amazing to get out of the Hollywood bubble and actually like I got a real job. I was a TV producer. I was fired from that job, but I had a real
yes, I remember
an actual job, like a person for a while that wasn't it was like a TV producer. I'm like, but that was a normal job compared to the Hollywood stuff,
Yeah.
even though it's like kind of an
It
affiliation.
was like a 9 to 5.
It was like an office job, which I never had before. I was a full-time actress for 13 years, full-time. Like that's all I did. And I literally have been cut out of 90% of the movies that I made. Like most embarrassing moment is the 25 times I've gone to the theater, like with people, like we're gonna see me be a star. Where's that scene? It's cut out.
Oh wow.
Like,
but you still got paid.
So I got paid and I got the craft service and I got the sweet catering, and that's what matters most. I would always smuggle food home for my husband. Like you gotta,
you got the money first. That's all that matters.
The money, I didn't care about the money. I really cared about the food.
That was your livelihood. You were able to, that's awesome though.
And it was cool at the time, but yeah.
All right. Give us those socials one more time.
Well, it's Chrystall Jane. Chrystall Janae.
We'll spell it.
It's spelled Chrystall. So it's like Chrystall, like how Jay-Z says it. Jane, just plain old Jane. And I'm also Turtle Points. I clean beaches. That's my passion. I do beach cleanups every day at Turtle Points. You can see me pick up other people's trash. I get off on it.
Nice.
It's my,
I have to join you sometime.
It's my passion. I'd love to have you join me. It's really hot right now, so we have to either go early in the morning or in the evening. Yeah.
But nonetheless, all right, you just gave your socials, and your show is coming up at Titanic. Is it going to be at the same spot?
I think it's at the same spot. It said Northwood. It didn't say what the venue was
in
called,
Northwood.
but North, it's
just follow her and you'll be able to get all the deets. All right. I think it is time for Terry Wayne's Words for White People. Chrystall, you want to stay because you are white people. All right, go ahead, Terry.
We're going back a little ways this time. I'd like to quote Francis Groves from 1796. Because this time we're talking about spite. And that's the particular person who happened to coin the phrase, cut off your nose to spite your face, which essentially means I don't care if this ends up hurting me in the long run. I don't even care if it ends up hurting me in the short run. As long as you suffer with me, then I'm fine with it. Because I see a lot of this shit going on lately. And we talked about Ron DeSantis. That's a perfect example of saying, I don't care if I destroy the economy for Florida. I don't care if everyone hates me. I don't care if my legacy is damaged. If I'm going down, I'm taking all you with me. And if I'm not going to be president, then this state's going to burn right along with my career. At least that's the way I see it. Because why else would you do some things like that? Now, what's important is normal people don't do this, because normal, average, everyday people I see doing this, where you burn out friends or you lose family members to this hatred, to this bile, to this bullshit. Just stop. Don't cut off your nose to spite your face. You're the one that's going to end up suffering for this. So that angry, hateful opinion you have about your neighbor or about your cousin or your grandfather or whatever. And this goes for everybody, not just the whites on the right. This goes for the libs on the left. Because just because your father likes Donald Trump doesn't mean you have to hate your father. And just because you like Donald Trump and your kid hates him doesn't mean you have to hate your kid. There's a limit, there's a line, and it goes for all of this. Just because your kid, we were doing this in the 90s. If your kid was gay, somebody would just be like, well, you're out of the family, you're out of the life. And now it's like, oh, if your kid supports, some trans group, it's like, well, you got to go. Or if your dad was at, January 6th, it'd be like, you're out of here. We don't even want you around anymore. There comes a limit. There's a line. I want you to believe in the things you believe in. I do want you to have that pride, and that sense of moral superiority, but there's a limit, that's it. Just don't cut off your nose to spite your own face.
I don't know how I feel about that, because I think I feel like that, sometimes you do have to have boundaries or draw a line with your space to protect yourself. And sometimes you need to do that if it's dealing with a, family member that is maybe you're just saying Trump supporter, but maybe they're fucking racist, or
whatever. You suck it up, you be an adult, and you get through Thanksgiving. That's it. You know what I mean? We all have to do it
I
at
think
some
it's your
point in
choice
time.
to skip Thanksgiving if X is going to be there and they're going to trigger you. So
Hey, listen, triggering is one thing.
Like
Unless
the old days, we ain't repeating these cycles, Terry. And so
no. I'm gonna have to disagree with you. Unless your uncle's, killing prostitutes in Staten Island, there's really no reason.
Supports it. Like
someone.
Well, I don't think anybody will be. Like I said, if an extreme, even supporting that would be pretty extreme, but I've seen it way too much. People just get cut out.
That's your boundary. You're willing to like flex your boundaries, and maybe you need to, but I think that not everybody needs to, not everybody wants to. For example, my sister and her husband, my sister's Black and her husband's Italian, and they both would not invite their racist grandparents to their wedding. And my grandmother is kind of racist. She likes some white people, but she did not really like my sister's husband anyway.
But again, who are you hurting by doing that? Are you hurting just them, or are you hurting yourself as well? Maybe you're hurting your parents. You don't know.
They're not hurt by it at all.
Hurt people,
okay.
Hurt people, Terry.
Judge for yourself. These are just my opinions, which is why this is normally a monologue and not a discussion, but that's fine. It's just my opinions.
Well, you engaged all people. You didn't say just white people, so I had to.
That's fine. I don't care.
I just think that it's up to us to decide what our boundaries are, and it's okay if you set boundaries with family members, with loved ones, that you have to cut them out. Do it,
and that's fine. I'm just saying you're hurting yourself just as much as you're hurting them. So maybe I don't
think so. Sometimes it's better for your mental health. Is my point.
Okay, that's fine. My opinion is a softer eye will gain you more than a hard eye. That's all. Catch more flies with honey.
I had some white words.
Oh, okay.
Just
sure.
Some words.
Never.
Just
sure. Yeah.
For white people. Mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is like a super white word. And
sure.
Charcuterie.
Yeah.
Is that how you say that?
No, that's her favorite thing. She does it at every party.
You say charcuterie, right?
No, charcuterie.
But with the you got to fancy it up, like you.
Oh,
but it doesn't count with Gio. She's whiter than I am. But
I still be saying everybody's names all Black. Like
that's the main thing. That's you. Terry. Base jumping sounds pretty white.
Yeah, that is pretty white.
Racing.
Yeah. Just winter sports in general.
Yeah. Band-Aid. Band-Aid. That sounds like Band-Aid. You hand me that Band-Aid. That's kind of white. And then Nabisco sounds kind of white, like cracker Nabisco cookies. Those are the words that I thought of for white people.
Okay. I see where you're going.
I caught on pretty quick.
All right, guys. Until next week. Thank you.
Wait.
Oh, do you have anything you want to pub right now?
Yeah, buy the book on Amazon. It's called Unclaimed Ashes. It's on sale right now. Get your copy while there's still plenty.
All right.
Claim the ashes.
Unclaimed ashes.
No, but we should need to claim them by buying your book.
No, if they were claimed, there wouldn't be a book.
Okay.
Unclaimed Ashes by Terry Wayne.
Ruining.
That's correct. By Terry Wayne.
Thank you, Terry. All right. I have nothing coming up until August 1st, unless you want to get me on your show.